Mal, and today I'm at the Kimbell Art Museum speaking with Dr. George Shackelford about the exhibition Casanova, The Seduction of Europe. George, thank you so much for speaking with me today.
Always delighted, thank you.
I'm really excited about this exhibition because it takes a pretty unconventional approach to exploring a century of art history. Can you tell me how the idea of using Casanova's biography came into play?
Well, I wish I could take credit for it, but it's my good friend C.D. Dickerson, a Fort Worth native who has left the Kimbell and is head of sculpture and decorative arts at the National Gallery of Art in Washington. And C.D., while reading Casanova's memoirs, which extend to 9 volumes, got the idea that Casanova was the perfect lead-in for an exploration of life in the 18th century. Mm-hmm. Because Casanova went all over Europe, met everyone who mattered in a way, wrote it all down eventually, and experienced virtually all kinds of life, from the low-life theatricals that he was born into to the high life at the court of Versailles with Louis XV and Madame de Pompadour. Mm-hmm. So that range of experience and that interestingness of a life really made him an ideal guide to the 18th century.
Absolutely. And also he lived to a sort of a ripe old age for the time period.
Yeah, he was in his 70s.
Mm-hmm. So he really did live across Europe, across the 18th century.
It's true. Casanova is bound to have been one of the best traveled men of the 18th century. We reckon that he logged about 40,000 miles of European travel over the course of his life, which is just an extraordinary thing when you imagine that it's all by horse-drawn carriage.
Right.
He might have gotten on a boat to go to Constantinople, but basically he was doing it all overland. And the experience of that and his uncanny ability to get himself introduced to the right people means that he had this remarkable experience. And because of that, and also because of his testimony to it all, where he talks in detail about what kinds of food he liked to eat and what kinds of clothes he wore and where he lived and such, we were able to evoke Casanova's world to the greater understanding of that world, more broadly speaking. Mm-hmm. So he's our way into a subject. He's not the subject of the exhibition necessarily. The subject of the exhibition is really his world and his imagination.
So this exhibition includes objects in a variety of media.
It's true.
And can you tell me a bit about the decision to use furnishings and textiles as a part of that story?
Well, we were lucky to partner with the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston, which has an extraordinary collection of 18th century art in every medium. They're particularly rich in great costumes of the 18th century, and Pam Parmel was the head of fashions and textiles at the MFA, picked these extraordinary ensembles to use on mannequins that are not just standing there doing nothing. They're not necessarily a display of the costume per se. They're on a person who is having a reaction, having an emotion. Also with the great amount of furniture, ceramics, silver, objects of extreme elegance, like little snuff boxes set with paste jewels. And all of this evokes the century in a much more tactile way than when you are simply looking at a flat object, a painting or a print. Mm-hmm. And seeing the paintings and then seeing their world kind of expanded into 3D is one of the joys of the exhibition.
I want to go into a little bit of detail. I want to have you tell me a few of the major, maybe life events or locales that are featured in the exhibition, since I think Casanova is this character that I think a lot of people know about broadly, but maybe not so specifically.
Well, there are some geographical locales that are particularly important to Casanova that we celebrate in the exhibition. First, and maybe most important, is Venice, the city of his birth. And wherever Casanova went, he was a Venetian. I mean, it's a bit like being a Texan. If you go to Paris, you're from Texas. And